Thanks. Thanks. Good morning, everyone. I'll call this meeting to order. ASB will be conducting this meeting in person and via conference call in accordance with the MGA Section 199. At this time, public attendance at ASB meetings will be facilitated through virtual means. And since we do have one member calling in, we will change the voting process, and I will be calling for opposition. And if there's any opposition, we will do a roll call vote. Brittany, are you on the line?
Yeah, I'm on the line.
Perfect. So we have an agenda in front of us. Are there any errors or additions?
I'll move approval of the agenda.
We have some additions.
Sorry. Yeah. There is 3 additions, Mr. Chairman. 4-H, thank you, from Hazard 4-H Beef Club. MD Willow Creek correspondence, as well as MD of Ranchlands correspondence. You do have paper copies there, and if we could add them to item 4.1, correspondence and information items.
Sounds good. Any other additions to the agenda? Seeing none, Member Link, would you like to move?
I'd move the amended agenda.
Member Link has moved. Any opposition? Hearing and seeing none, that is approved. Adoption of the minutes. It was brought to our attention that there was to move the amended minutes.
I'll move the minutes as presented
As
and amended.
There we go. Member Armstrong has moved. Any opposition? Hearing and seeing none, that is carried. New business, 2021 Provincial Ag Service Board Conference Resolution Responses. Russ, you want to?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. So the resolution responses from our 2021 provincial conference are included in your package. There's also a summary at the end of the package that just states what the grade was from the Provincial Agricultural Service Board Committee. There was an opportunity for municipalities to comment on the grading. We did miss the deadline for it, unfortunately. I think there was only a 30% response rate from agricultural service boards, but they're there for your information. I don't know if anyone has any comments or questions regarding the resolutions.
Does the board have any questions? Comments? Discussion?
Just one question. In the response about weed control for oil and gas sites, because occasionally I've had complaints about that, could we just share like the ministry's response, like that landowners can contact AER or the Orphan Well Association if it's abandoned?
Yeah, certainly we can do that.
And I'll like extract it too so that I can pass that along. But occasionally I do get complaints about that. And
That's a great comment. Any other comments on the resolution responses? If not,
Through the, Mr. Chairman, I will maybe just make one comment in regards to there's a letter at the end regarding our pesticide container collection program. There's been numerous resolutions come forward through the years regarding responsibility for these container sites. So I just maybe make mention that I think you guys are familiar. We have Strathmore, Hazard, and Standard sites. They were built in the 80s and they're in dire need of repair and upgrades. So it's just something to keep in the future. They're pretty much at their capacity. They weren't designed for the amount of chemical containers that we do see coming in. So we've gone from half-ton trucks coming in to tandem trucks full of chemicals wanting to dump. So I am hoping there's some movement forward with these resolutions, whether it's funding to assist us for upgrades or responsibility moved to the manufacturer. So
It is optimistic with that extended producer responsibility. Like hopefully that will, a program that will come out of that works. I know there have been some issues that have arisen even since they've started to introduce that idea with EPR, but
Any further questions? If not, board's direction?
I'll
There's a recommendation.
recommend that the board accept the 2021 Service Board resolutions as information.
Tom has moved the recommendation. Any questions, concerns, discussion on the motion? Any opposition, calling for opposition? Hearing and seeing none, that is carried. Soil erosion education proposal.
yeah, so we had every spring we tend to have, a wind erosion event. It does seem like we're getting windier conditions all the time, and this spring we did have some soil movement in the municipality. It is limited here. A lot of it depends on timing. As far as where our producers are at with seeding, it is a bigger problem in the south, particularly in the potato, sugar beet counties like Taber and Newell County. Newell County did approach Farming Smarter, which is a farm-based research group in southern Alberta, at helping or potentially helping with increasing the awareness of soil erosion issues, what kind of damage it does, the costs, and they were looking for support from all of the region or municipalities in southern Alberta. So there was 11 potentially that they reached out to see if they would be interested in participating in this proposal. So the proposal is there in its entirety. I think the total cost was $20,000, which everybody felt was a little too much. Just the news article series, promotion, website, e-newsletter, in Farming Smarter magazine is $12,250. I think there is 11 municipalities potentially that would contribute it, and the costs with the 11 would be, I think, just over $1,000 or $1,100. So, just looking for direction if the board would like to participate in that. We would have funds available in our contracted services budget. There was a fairly large budget there for communication that we aren't going to be using this year, so there is dollars there that could be used for this. I put to a maximum of $1,500, just in case some of the other municipalities did bow out and didn't wish to participate. So yeah, just looking for your direction on this, please.
Questions for Russ?
I don't know if it's direction, but I think it's a good program. I think anytime you can get something involved with soil erosion, even with the continuous farming that's going on out there now, there's still some fairly significant erosion in places. So I'll put a motion on the floor that we accept a recommendation from administration that we participate in the soil erosion program for $1,500.
Do you want the motion to say that it's coming out of contracted services, Russ, or you're good with just?
I'm fine with, no.
Any questions on the motion? Any other questions and discussion on the proposal itself? With the news article.
It would be in Farming Smarter's publications, but then I would post it on our website as well.
In the county.
And anywhere else we needed to, yeah, get it out as much as possible, realizing that maybe not everybody is, you know, up to date with Farming Smarter, so.
Well, there'll be some of that in that bi-monthly or that paper that we put out from the county. There'll be articles in that going forward.
Yeah, we just had the last edition just out here recently, so yeah, that would be another avenue that we would put the articles into for sure.
You know, I think it's a great idea. This was the original intent of the ASBs back in the day, was soil erosion, so I don't think it hurts to get back to basics every once in a while. With that, I'll call the question. Any opposition for Ben's motion? Hearing and seeing none, that's carried. AgSmart attendance.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, so AgSmart started in 2019, was the inaugural event aimed at technology in the ag industry. We actually did a demo at that event with our bag roller that was really well received, and you know, we had lots of people come through. So obviously last summer it was postponed and is going again this year, August 10th and 11th. It's 2 days. You can go for both days or one day, but I think it is just from emerging trends and technology again, it's definitely something that's well worth attending for board members. I know last time there was autonomous agriculture equipment sprayers that could be viewed. There was a drone demonstration. There was our demonstration, numerous other demonstrations, as well as classroom and trade shows to take part of. So there is the full itinerary if you click on the link to what's there for the day, but we do have budget for attendance through our conference, particularly with limited attendance. We've had it right with provincial conference this year, so.
Anybody interested in attending?
Yeah, I might possibly also be interested in attending, like, if for farm-related background than I have.
Well, not much point in me going.
Well, you-
I'm not going to leech every
Could
dollar I
explain
can
everything to Tom.
from the government before I leave. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
but-
don't ask about chickens, Tom. Yeah. Yeah. We don't jump from chickens to autonomous farming.
Yeah, no,
There's a lot in between there.
exactly. I'm more on the autonomous farm end of things. But yes, I'd be interested in going one day.
Anybody else? Amber's a maybe.
Maybe. Yeah.
It's a nice one-day trip up there.
Yeah.
Hospitality wouldn't be needed.
Is that open to all ASB boards?
Well, it would be like any event, whether it's a conference or,
Oh.
yeah, so it's open attendance.
So do you want a minimum time limit? When do we have to register by?
If folks could let me know by the end of the month, I think, I'll maybe send an email.
Yeah. Yeah, so everybody get their group in a group and decide by the 31st. Let Russ know.
Right. Yeah, thank you.
So we'll still have that recommendation move forward. Somebody can make that motion.
Also move.
Dawn has moved the recommendation. Any comments, concerns, questions? Call the question. Any opposition? Hearing and seeing none, that's carried. Moving on. Chair's report. Pretty quiet month. Well, 3 months. Watching the crops burn up. That's about it. Yeah, I've been in Manitoba, so I don't have a ton to report since the last meeting. This is my last ASB meeting as well. Glenn will be chairing the next one in October. So good job. And I personally would just like to thank Russ and his team and the new team member. Russ is an outstanding public servant, and God knows there's not a lot of those. So just tip my hat to you, Russ.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I certainly appreciate your support over these years. Definitely makes our jobs a lot easier and enjoyable. So thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I won't even move the report because I don't think there was anything to report. So yeah, I won't cry today. Don't worry. Great first impression with Brad, though. Yeah. So Russ, you go ahead.
Okay, so my report's included in your package. As we mentioned, our new Ag Environment Coordinator, Alyssa, started June 21st. And as part of our ag strategy to promote and support the local land industry, we had, this year we budgeted for the purchase of 4-H calves and a sheep or a lamb. So there's pictures of the purchases made. Everything was done online this year by a timed auction. So, I mean, it was quite easy, obviously, to participate. The first show and sale was Hazar. Calf was purchased from Luke Sevick. Rocky Fords was next. Mesa Schiffner was the calf I purchased, and then the standard 4-H sheep club, Colton Webster, was the lamb purchase. So what happens with these after the purchases are made, I just ship them on the rail. The sheep has sold already, as well as Mesa Schiffner's, or we've gotten the checks for them. So we're just waiting on the one from Luke Sevick. So we had budgeted $7,000. I spent, I think, $68,000, so just right close. The check for the lamb we got was around 200 and change, and Mesa Schiffner's calf got 2,200 back. So I would expect about the same from Luke's calf. So probably looking to recover, what, $4,800 of that. Well received. I have a picture here, as you can see, from Luke, and then yeah, we got a thank you from him as well, and see if anything else comes from the kids. So thank you for that. I don't know, has anybody heard anything in the community in regards to purchasing, or not really?
I have actually, and I've heard quite a bit, and everyone's just so happy that we're getting involved in the 4-H clubs more so than we were before. I honestly, I've probably had 20 people come up to me and say, look, that's great that you guys are buying calves. So I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's nice to hear. So I haven't done any of the advertising yet, so I will be posting that online and doing some advertising with it. So follow up with that. Our seeding for the year is pretty much completed. We just had a few jobs on Range Road 245 just to the west here to kind of finish up. A roadside mowing program has started. It started mid-June. So it started in Greater Beats 3 and 5 and 8. So I've included our rotation there for your reference, as well as I think at the end of the report, I got just the grader beat map for your reference. So what we've done here is in the past, we've had just our 2 grader mowers primarily and our 15-foot mower going. So what we've done this year with the addition of the new Tiger mower, which you can see at the bottom, and if you recall, our intent was to move out of the graders at some point because of age, numerous other factors, retrofitting a grader to mower, that we would need to go to a system like this Tiger mower. So last year, with the challenges we faced, we obviously weren't able to get through what we needed to. So this year, what we're doing to see how well it works is to run both the graders in Northwest and East Division. Then we added a 3rd division, which we're calling the South Rotation, to see if we can get over these roads quicker. And then it'll allow us a little more time to do a second cut if we need to. Years like this, most likely with the lack of moisture, second cut's going to be limited. So that's where we're at. Those 3 mowers, as well as our 15-foot mower that we run in any of the paved roads or built roads like the Fire Guard with, kind of a decent ditch slope that we can put that mower into. So there's when the approximate timelines, mowers will be in the Greater Beat Division, so you can look if you do have questions from ratepayers as to when the mowers will be coming, or of course you can refer them to myself. The Environmental Stewardship Awards were delivered to the recipients in Rosebud. As you know, we did the J. Laszlo Award presentation here in April. And again, I've held off on promoting these, hoping to give a push kind of when we're looking for applications. So they will be posted. Glenn was kind enough to do a video for the presentation at Rosebud of the Rosebud Beautification Committee, as well as the Youth Award. So we did get some pictures from that as well, and recipients were very happy with that. Gopher control work continues in our hamlets. This year seems to be a bit worse for our gopher issues. We're also doing spraying in our county-owned lots, the roundup in the county yard shops, waste transfer site parking lots, that sort of thing. Spot spraying hoary cress on our provincial highways. We've contracted with Alberta Transportation. I guess this is for the 3rd year now, just to do spot spraying of areas that, when timeliness is kind of the essence, that we can do those spots when we're right there. Crop condition reports for Alberta Agriculture started May 18th and will continue right through to harvest. And then our normal weed inspections of roadways, county-owned land, and of course the villages, we're still participating with them where they appoint us as the weed inspector. So try to visit those villages at least once a month for inspections. Strychnine sales, as you can imagine, were substantial this year, just shy of 500 cases to 193 producers. So we are out now, finished around the end of June, I guess. As you know, strychnine has been deregistered. The province does have I believe it's a notice of objection to PMRA to continue with the program, particularly with issues surrounding COVID and lack of supply. And that there has been no response to that yet. I think it was submitted in March. So I did receive a few calls, obviously, kind of in the first part of July here, as folks are losing some canola crops, which is kind of typical what we do see. But yeah, as of right now, we're done. And we did have probably more strychnine than a lot of the municipalities did. So Earth armyworm traps, we set those up in 2 locations. Generally, we go to the east side of the county where there's holes. A lot of agronomists will set up traps on the west side here. And we have Alyssa looking after these counts, which are done weekly for 6 to 7 weeks. And there's just a picture of the adult moth that we're collecting. It's pheromone traps. So we collect the adult moth, count them, submit the data to the Alberta Ag website. You can see the Earth armyworm map there. And there'll be live updates. This is the 2021, but there'll be live updates as we get into it, just as far as counts. The intent, of course, is to an early warning system for farmers to be able to start looking, checking their fields, and deciding if there's a need for a spray. The bottom left picture is the trap itself. It's just a little bucket. There's a pheromone in the top there that attracts the male moths, and there's a pesticide strip inside the bucket that dispatches them humanely. And as we said, we do the counts. Alice Partnership Advisory Committee meeting held June 16th. So we had 5 projects approved at that meeting. We have, I think, about 200 acres this year that we're trying to achieve, sign up for with dollars, I think around $52,000 in funds that we're accessing for producers from the ALICE program this year. So it has been going up every year. There is a new program as well called Grazing Forward. I don't know if you've potentially heard of it with A&W and Cargill. There's $1.8 million that they're putting towards the ALICE program. So that'll be available to, I think there's 20 of us now, municipalities that participate. So there may be some additional funding through that as well, aimed at soil improvement, water quality improvement, a number of factors, soil carbon sequestration, and yeah, so like I said, it'll fit in well with our programs. Another part of our strategic plan was to hire consultants for tree questions or horticultural questions. So I have contracted AWS, it's called Agroforestry Woodlot Extension Society, to deal with questions, and Spencer Horticultural Solutions to assist ratepayers with horticultural related questions. So we have just kind of started into that. So I have been forwarding calls. The total cost on that I expect to be, should be in the $2,000 range. I think we had $3,000 budgeted, but should be less than that. Alberta Ag, our 2020 report has been submitted, as well as financials, just as part of our grant requirement. So that's completed. The Crowfoot Creek Watershed Resiliency Restoration Program, I did attach the financial report. There is a full-blown report presentation we'll give to you at the next meeting. When Sarah's here, she's on holidays this week, but there was just shy of $200,000 in grant funding we'd received for that program. And that's fully expended now. So we're working on the Rosebud Watershed Resiliency Grant Program as well. And I think the uptake with that will be equally as popular. So. And then the Alberta Ag field visit today, which I think I sent you the email just outlining what the intent of the program or the field visits are or is. We did do one 5 years ago where they look at our records and then we'll do a tour out in the shop, look at our equipment, all our programs. They look at things like when appointments are made for weed inspectors, ensure that we have weed inspector ID, pest inspector ID, and then we'll do a bit of a field tour. I'll take them out to view our mowers in action and the guys spraying and a few other sites this afternoon. So And then I believe there'll be a report submitted probably in the fall. And kind of last off, I just included a bit of a update from Alberta Transportation on their spraying program. They had gone to a more of a reactionary program for weeds on provincial highways, and they're going back to more dedicated spraying program on rotation to help deal with, weed issues in a more timely manner. And so those are just the roads and schedules in our area that they'll be looking at. And I believe that's the extent to my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Russ. Any questions for Russ? Just a comment on the mowing. And I know I brought it up last year. It's in Amber's division, Greater Beat 8. And I know it should be done anytime, as it says, end of June. But 232 weeds are probably 2.5 feet tall again. Yeah. So just, I don't know if you can prioritize that road, especially just because of the high traffic, higher speeds, to get that done. Because, that sweet clover just grows like no tomorrow, even on dry years. So.
Yeah, no, I noticed that yesterday when I was out, and you do see years like this where it's dry, the sweet clover really taking over. It just kind of thrives in these conditions. We'll even see out in the yard here, there's the odd sweet clover plant that has popped up. So yeah, certainly we can get on that road sooner rather than later.
Yeah, perfect. And I mean, those are the roads that you could probably do twice. I mean, a lot of the spots out in my area, you really don't need to do twice, even on a wet year. But those ones probably should be done. Other than that, I don't, unless anybody else has any comments regarding mowing in their area, spraying. Benjamin?
Just a comment on the Strychnine program. Is that going to be available again next year? Because I know some guys are buying extra this year.
Yeah, no, unless they do come up with the notice of objection that Alberta Ag has put in. Unless that changes things, there won't be any. And the biggest thing, Ben, was because of supply, though, because the factories were at half capacity because due to COVID. They just weren't able to get the raw product over to make enough to keep up. So that in itself, to me, should be enough reason to extend it by a year. And I'm hopeful that they will, but I really have no idea.
Well, you have no more product left. Somebody comes in, there's nothing left.
No, and to be quite honest, I had calls from Foothills, Newell, Rocky View, that were out like end of May. So yeah, there was, I don't think anybody will have any.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments, questions, concerns for us? If not, can I have a mover of the report? That is a report. Member Kester has moved. Any questions on the motion? Call the question. Anybody in opposition? Hearing and seeing none, that's carried. Barb. Go ahead.
Oops, okay. Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I guess the first thing I wanted to mention is just some of the changes in Alberta Agriculture and Forestry. We do less extension now, and also research is directed to RDAR, which is the results-driven ag research. Those are changes within the department quite recently. And also our environmental stewardship branch is now known as the Natural Resource Management Branch. So that will tie in with some of these other changes that I'll mention here in a second too. I still work with the CAP program, the Canadian Agriculture Partnership, And you may have heard in the news that that's undergone what they called a modernization as well. So the changes will be in effect until the end of this 5-year term, which is to the end of March 2023. And some of the changes that have occurred, our environmental stewardship and climate change producer and group programs have now been closed. So the programs that complemented quite nicely with Wheatland's environmental programs for riparian management and that sort of thing. Those programs have, unfortunately, I'm not supposed to say that, but have been closed. So to replace them, our team now works on a new program called the Farm Technology Program, and also works on what was the Efficient Grain Dryer Program. The name's just changed to Efficient Grain Handling Program. So those are the two programs that my team works on. And just briefly, I'll explain what the programs are, and then I'll ask you to go to the website for the funding list for actual items that will be included. But in the Farm Tech program, it focuses on sensors and security devices. So farm security is one of the priorities that are innovative technologies. So technology that's maybe been introduced in the province but hasn't been widely adopted yet. And the technology must minimize waste and optimize efficiency, and then within the security area must improve security of farm operations. So there already has started to be an uptake on farm security, of course. The grant is a 50% grant, and for the farm technology, it's a maximum to $48,000, and for farm security, it's a maximum of $2,000. So within that whole area, the maximum per producer for just the next 2 years then, till the end of the GET agreement, is a maximum of $50,000 total. So quite a bit available for farm technology, and some helpful funds up to $2,000 for farm security. So please check the funding list. The programs have just opened. We're sort of learning as we go on as we move along, what should be accepted for applications. With regards to the applications, they've been made even simpler. Hopefully there's not issues for producers to fill out applications, because one of the changes also is we have far fewer staff, so we're not able to give really the one-on-one assistance that we tried to give in application assistance. So we're trying to be supportive to the municipal people, such as Sarah, who may be helping producers even more than she already has, which has been a considerable amount in the past. I'll just mention the 5 producer programs that are available within CAP now after the modernization. The Farm Tech program I mentioned, the Efficient Grain Handling program. There's a program called On-Farm Value Added. So if a producer is producing and then wants to further value add or process the product, there is assistance for that. And then there's a program that's called Market Assurance, which again is supporting assurance requirements for the areas like biosecurity, health, traceability, surveillance, that sort of thing. And the water program is still in existence. So now the water program combines irrigation and farm water supply, so the wells and the dugouts are still supported within that program. So in my report there is the website, so please check the CAP website for anything that you or other farmers might be interested in. And I'll really emphasize again, they've changed it, it's not really a button anymore to subscribe, but there is an area that you can click on if you would like to subscribe to the producer programs, and I heavily recommend that. Once you subscribe, if I can say it, then you will get emails that notify you whenever there's a change to that particular program. So that's a little bit of the update of what's happened in the department and what's going on within CAP. And my report is very brief. The other thing that I wanted to mention, and I don't know if you're aware, I know Russ is, but there has been a change recently in the Ag Service Board Key Contact Program. So that's where I was able to come and attend and participate in your meetings, where I would take issues or concerns or comments back from the municipality to the department, and also try to provide you with whatever new information there was from the department. So the Ag Service Board Key Contact Program has been disbanded as well. And so unfortunately, this is my last meeting too, Jason. I'll no longer be participating at the county level. And it's being replaced with what they're calling the Ag Service Board Regional Liaison Program. So my understanding is that there will be a regional contact for the South region, and you will be provided with quarterly newsletters to update the Ag Service Board on things happening within Alberta agriculture. There'll be biannual town hall meetings with AF executives, and I believe they've already had one where members of the Ag Service Board called into the town hall meeting, and there were AF executives to ask questions of and so on. And the South Regional contact for you within this regional liaison program is Alan Ephatha, who you are familiar with already, I believe. That's who will be coming today to speak with the Ag Service Board. So he's the key contact. He's out of Lethbridge. I don't know how much actual attendance at meetings there will be. And again, this is kind of relating back to fewer staff than the department used to have. But Alan will be your key contact, and his alternative is Joe Harrington if Alan is busy. So you probably know Joe. He's been involved with the water program for many, many years. So two people that are very experienced with Ag Service Boards and so on. So yes, I'd just like to say then that I've thoroughly enjoyed being involved with your meetings, and certainly have always been, even before I started being involved with the meetings, but very impressed with the progressiveness of Wheatland. The staff and the Agricultural Service Board itself are really ones that others in the province look up to and try to get ideas from and so on. So it's certainly been my pleasure to work with you. Unfortunately, a lot of the time that I've been in this position, the department's been in a flux, so I haven't had as much to report to you as I wish I could have had. But again, I'd like to thank you for the experience, and it's been a pleasure sitting on the Ag Service Board here in Wheatland. Thank you. I didn't cry either, Jason.
On behalf of the board, I just want to thank you for the last 4 years. It's been great having you in part of
Thank you.
our board here. So I don't know if anybody else jump
thank
in
you
if
very
they have
much.
anything to say.
Through the chair, yeah, I'd just like to thank you, Barb, and I certainly know it's been a challenge with the changes with Alberta agriculture. So, yeah, and probably will continue for some time, but yeah, we certainly appreciate your support over the years. So good luck to you, and yeah, thank you again. With something else to note, Barb also sat on our Alice committee, and we have asked as a replacement for her somebody from the Foothills Forage and Grazing Association to sit, and they've agreed to do that. So thanks for that as well. And maybe just one question, Barb, through the chair, just in regards to the CAP program. They're going through consultation right now. Are they on it for after 2023? Is that right? Or
That's right, yeah.
the replacement program?
Yeah, they're getting quite a bit of feedback already from municipalities and commodity groups for the next policy framework, which will be 23 to, 28? So yeah, if Wheatland has some ideas and things to pass on, I'd encourage you to do so. Yeah, it started, I think it opened about a month ago, roughly. Yeah.
Thank you, Barb. I have a mover for Barb's report.
So moved, and just thank you to, from the county. It's invaluable having actually a person at our ASB meetings, and it's unfortunate that the format's being changed, but I recognize that all government is looking for efficiencies, and that's just a reality of our times, but absolutely want to thank you. It's always been valuable for me, just like the direct information that you bring to us. So sometimes a human's better than a newsletter, but thank you.
I think Amber beat you to it, making the motion, Ben. So Member Link has moved to accept Barb's report. Any questions? Call the vote. Oh, go ahead.
One, just this CAP program, are we highlighting that on our website? Because I think probably one of the better ones that know about.
Yeah, like Sarah works with producers on it. To be quite honest, Tom, I assume there's a link on there, but I'll make sure I look and to make sure it is on our website.
Actually, I will mention too that on the website, what we've done this time for the new programs is done a webcast, so producers can go on and listen to an explanation of the program. And we were hoping to have a newspaper article available for municipalities to put in their newsletters and so on. It hasn't gone through the approval process yet, but that will be available on the website as well as a one-pager, just short information that municipalities can print off and make available to producers. So yeah, we're trying to make as much information available as possible.
Thank you, Barb. Motion's on the floor. Is there any other questions? If not, I'll call the vote. Any opposition? Hearing and seeing none, that is moved. Moving on to 4.1, correspondence, and the 3 additional correspondence that were added. I'm not going to read them out to you guys. You're all adults here, so you can read them there. And if there's any questions, feel free to ask. If there are no questions, I'm happy to take a direction of the board too, so ball's in your court.
Russ, do you think it's worth us like emulating Cypress County and sending a letter as well, or is that just going to fall on deaf ears?
Yeah, at this point, to be quite honest, I think these letters have come forward since I've worked here, basically, in regards to Strychnine. I think the notice of objection from the province, I think it's from Alberta and Saskatchewan, is what's going to impact it ultimately. So it's certainly up to you. I guess it never hurts, but we did send a letter prior to or during the review as well, expressing our concerns, as did other municipalities. So to be quite honest, when we did have a conference call, our Ag Field Association with the PMRA, they didn't have a good appreciation for what producers go through out here at all. So they're just that far removed from the situation. So, but
Do we need to bring the gophers there?
yeah, I certainly wouldn't hurt to do something. But yeah, like I said, as far as they're concerned, it's more of a hazard than it is a use, unfortunately. But it's a great tool. It's necessary. It's been around a long time, and I think farmers have shown that it can be used safely and wisely. So,
sorry, this doesn't fit under correspondence. Do you mind? What are you recommending as an alternative right now?
Right now, the only alternative from a rodenticide standpoint is anticoagulants, and it's just a matter of timing. It has to be done earlier in the season. So in March. Frequently. Yeah, it's multiple feeding, but if you can use the anticoagulants prior to green up, so generally they start coming out mid-February. If you start poisoning 2 weeks after that, that will be one of the primary ways. There is other alternatives like phostoxin, which farmers use for grain bin fumigation. There's a registration for Virgin ground squirrel with it as well. Farmers need their farmer pesticide certificate to get the phostoxinol. And it's, if it's used the right way, it's adequate or works well. You put a tablet down the hole in the evening when everything is down the hole, and moisture releases the gas, so it kills everything. So there is some options. It's just, yeah, nothing quite as good as strychnine. So, but earliness is the key, I guess, is what the message I've been trying to get through to folks.
Any other questions? Any other concerns with the other letters regarding ASB funding, provincial funding? I think we all know the province is in a tough spot, so. If not, can I have direction from the board? Somebody put their name on the agenda, on the minutes.
I'll
Move their recommendation.
yes, further correspondence.
Thank you. Tom, any questions on the motion to accept his information? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. Any in opposition? Hearing and seeing none, that's carried. We'll do a 5-minute break and meet back here at
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, our 10 o'clock is here, so yeah, timing's perfect.
Go have a leak.
Thanks, everybody. Alan, your time. Your time to shine.
So yeah, can you hear me?
Do you want to just turn your mic on there?
Oh, there we go. You see, I'm not a politician, so I don't know how to turn things on and off.
Amber's the only politician here, so.
Yeah, okay, that's good. So anyway, my name is Alan Efeta, and I've been around here in the South for a long time, more than 21 years. And I was, 2000, I was hired by the department, and I was supposed to come here in Strathmore to replace Dennis Roll. Those of you who remember Dennis Roll? Yeah, he was the irrigation specialist here, and Keith Adamson. But things changed so fast that they put me in Brooks, and I stayed there for a long time. So I've been with the department in different portfolios. As 6 years ago, I started working with the ASB, and I work with Doug McCauley. He's my boss. We're the only ones left in the department to work with you guys. So I'm here to spend part of a good chunk of the day with you guys to do what we refer to as a field visit. Since I'm not an accountant, I don't like to use the word audit. It's just a field visit, but technically it's a program audit. So we have the ASB grant funding, and the Auditor General requires us to come out and see how things are looking on the ground. So that's basically the number one thing. It's required by the Office of the Auditor General for us to come on ground truth, how the small amount of money we give you guys is performing on the ground. Secondly, our office, we like to do these kind of things so that we can connect and build the relationship between the GOA and the council or the municipality, between our unit, the ASB unit, granting unit. Doug and myself, we used to have Palm. Palm is retired last year, and so that was a huge loss. She used to keep us on the track. So it's just me and Doug that is left in the office. And today it's just me, because Doug took off, went to Santan. I don't need to Santan. So strengthening relation between the unit and the ASB, strengthening the relationship between our unit, ASB granting unit, and us, the administration side of the ASB, And personally, I'm always interested to get to know people individually so I can put names to faces or faces to names. So that way I can represent you better when I'm speaking for you in Edmonton and showing them that the ASB program is quite crucial. It's been around for a long time, since 1945, and it's the only link to the rural department. So that's why I'm here, field visit. And prior to field visit, you usually write a letter indicating that we are coming. And we have 69 ASBs in the province, from north to south, from Fort Vermilion all the way to Carlston, Bighorn to Cypress. We have 69 counties that we deal with under this program. And so we write you a letter and indicate that we are coming, and I communicate with Russell to indicate to him some of the things that you're going to be dealing with. So in the previous years, you guys, you're lucky to have someone like Russell who has been around for a long time and he knows how to do the business very well. But I've gone to areas where there's a huge turnover, and we know from the ASB Act that the acts that come under that, so the ASB Act, under that umbrella, we have the Weed Control Act, we have the Agriculture Pest Act, Soil Conservation Act. Because of zero tillage and continuous cropping nowadays, I do pay attention to Soil Conservation Act in areas where they do row cropping or areas where they have lighter soils. So if you are monitoring soil conservation and there's some activity in that area, I'm more forgiving because we have transited into more improved protective farming. But the Weed Control Act and the Agriculture Pest Act, I do pay attention in details when I'm here doing field visits. When Russell at the end of the year puts in activity report, I pay attention to it. Just went through that. I pay attention to that, and my job is I look at the activity report, I look at the statement of income and expenditure, and then you have been approved by the Municipal Affairs Department. Check through the grant system and move on. So my job is a lot of checks, and one of those checks is being here. And I'm also here to listen to your concerns, because I know that county of Wheatland and the county of Fort Vermilion are not the same, or St. Paul, Bonneville, and Bighorn are not the same. So I try to go around trying to understand local issues and local concerns. So that way, when we are coming up with a blanket policy, I say, wait a minute, the policy must be geared towards different locations because they do have different needs. And I'm privileged and blessed to have lived in the Peace, Central, and South, and worked in irrigation for 15 years as an irrigation specialist, and worked with the dry land, so I do understand different needs. So now it's your turn to ask me questions. That's basically why I'm here, field visit. So I look at the governance side, that's where we're talking, and I also look at the administration side. Russell.
Any questions? Amber?
Just a comment. Alan, thank you for being here. I was just chatting with Barb, and while Wheatland County certainly recognizes the fiscal pressures that all levels of government are under right now, one thing that I guess I just wanted to stress, and it wouldn't be specific to Wheatland, but just to emphasize the importance of support for our ag sector. I think through the downturn that we've seen, we have seen one steady industry in Alberta, and that's been agriculture. When we look at areas of growth, agriculture is certainly, I would say, a huge opportunity for Alberta, but that's going to require support for our producers and for industry to come in and, value add and that type of thing. So I guess if I could ask you to take one message back to Edmonton, it would just be to recognize the value of our industry and the requirement for continued support. And I know we've seen this whittling of services and of the department, and the effects of that are going to be felt through our producers. our municipalities are trying to pick up and offset some of that. You know, there's been some downloading. That's only sustainable for so long as we see our revenues decrease and some of the services that we're trying to provide on behalf of other levels of government increase. And that's going to create sustainability issues for smaller rural municipalities, but it's also going to create issues for our ag producers. And so I think I would love to have led with something more, more positive. I think the positive is the opportunity in the industry. And I think if we emphasize that, then hopefully as governments together, we can provide the supports that are necessary to grow that industry.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Yeah, I understand that very well. As those guys who have been around for a long time understand that very well. And we know that through thick and thin, the industry, agriculture industry, always keeps us afloat. Yeah, I do understand, and I do try my best. Don't have big voice, but I do try my best to voice that voice for you guys. Yeah. So rest assured that I do represent you when I'm given a chance. Yeah. But I'm not the one to make decisions.
We appreciate that. We won't shoot the messenger. Just
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions?
And I forgot to ask for introduction, so I know who I'm.
Oh, sorry, that's my fault, actually. We'll start to my left, and if everybody goes around and says whether you're councillor representative and what you do a little, and members at large can explain as well.
Donna Bigger, Division 3, so that's the Carsland Speargrass area along the Bow River. And what I do is very little. No.
Amen. Next.
Thank you for coming.
Amber Link, councillor for Division 2. You're sitting in Division 2, so going to just the edge of Strathmore. Siksika Nation borders us on the south, and east to Gleason, and then north. I should know the boundary road. Anyways, this area, and I also sit as Reeve of Wheatland County.
Yeah, I'm from Division 7. I'm up here in the northeast as well.
Tom Eichert, Division 4, which is Strathmore to Rocky View County, sort of along the Trans-Canada Highway. And my constituents are probably the reason we don't have strychnine, because of all the dogs running around, but yeah, so.
I was always under the impression you're from the county of Newell, but I guess you're from here. I thought you're from over on the other side.
Hi, Glenn Kester. I'm from Division 6. I'm a ASB farmer in that area. I guess you're doing a tour. You were here last week. We were burning up. Thank you for the rain. Maybe you made it so nice so you could see everything nice and green. What rain? Green up again. Fire there.
Oh yeah, I drive through the Foothill County there. Oh my God, things didn't look good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go up to Brian. Russ, you've met Russ. Barry?
Yeah, Barry Van Laar, farmer at large, north of Standard. I operate a mixed grain, cattle, and hog operation, and just enjoy it. Yeah, being on the board here to help the group.
And we have a member at large that's on the phone right now, if she's still there. Brittany, can you introduce yourself? Hello, Brittany.
Scott is on the line right now.
Is Scott on the line? Scott, do you want to introduce yourself as well?
Scott Clausen here, Deputy Reeve, Division 5, northeast of Strathmore, up against Rocky View, and I'm learning the hobby farm, and it's becoming an addiction. Thanks.
Thanks, Scott. So Brittany's another member at large. She's could have left her phone on somewhere, and they farm in the Nightingale area, mixed farm. And then myself, I'm Division 1 counselor on the southeast side of the county. We ranch out there. Also irrigation, growing irrigation, hopefully in the next few years as well. So thank you for coming, and thanks for reminding me to do introductions.
Yeah, no, I'm quite impressed, when you look at the structure of the ASB, mix of council and members at large, that's my favorite. Like you guys, the ASB being enabling gives you permission or power to design the way the structure will look like, and members at large combined with councillors, I like that.
Yeah, I think it's really important for the sitting councillors to be a part of this because ag is such a big part of our communities and our county. I think that's why we kind of chose to keep it a very high level of councillors, because we discussed it probably twice this term, 3 times, which way we wanted to go. And the consensus, we actually just put another councillor on last organizational. Scott came back on because there was such a strong willingness from him and his constituents to have good representation on their ASP board. So.
And then just in addition to that, because some of us aren't egg producers, it is so valuable having our egg producers sit as well, like incredibly valuable. So it is a really good mix.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments before the tour gets underway with Russ and Alan?
Through the chair, Alan, would you mind just mentioning the new liaison program? Because you will be our representative, correct? Barb talked about it a little bit, but if you have more details, it'd be great.
So we used to have the key conduct program, and I think that key conduct program came out of the ASB evaluation of 2005. They want to have the government, because before that, long time ago, you used to have an ARC fieldman on the ASB all the time. And the ARC fieldman used to inform the government and vice versa, two-way communication. And the ASB thinks that two-way communication is very important. And so out of the agriculture fieldmen, when they were, not agriculture fieldmen, but the crop specialist, when they were dismantled, the system was dismantled, there was a void. And John Knapp was still around, they came up with the key conduct program. And that key conduct program, each county that wanted to participate had somebody from the government working with them, and most of those people were agronomists. So now we just went through a wave of shake-up, and we lost a lot of people. And some of us still felt that that connection to the rural through the ASB should proceed, should not be discontinued. So by speaking for you guys, the new program has emerged, and they call it a liaison program. And as we move forward, how it's going to look like, I've got no idea. I'm working with you guys, and those who work with me, I have more leeway because I work with ASB. So if you have issues or you want me to come and speak with you as in person, I'm willing to do that. But some liaison people in other regions might not have that freedom because of the workload. Small number, but we still have double the workload. So we are the same problems you guys are going through. Less funding, but less number of people, but you still have to output. So that's the liaison program. It's coming out. The Deputy Minister announced it, and it's going to start right away. So in the South, we have 18 ASBs. South is the biggest one. And Joe Harrington, you guys know Joe Harrington from the water pumping program. Yeah, he's working with me. So we have divvied up the 18. I have 10, and he has got 8. And we see how things go. And Joe and I, we agree on the same philosophy that we can show ourselves in person to different counties and address whatever issue you guys are facing and report back and actually represent you and represent your concerns and listen to your questions and answer them. If we cannot answer them, go to the right people, connect you to GOA. So that's the liaison program. How it's going to morph and shape up as we move forward is new. It's new to me, it's new to Russell. I think the Deputy Minister, Assistant Deputy Minister, spoke with the ARC fieldman and tried to explain. And my manager, section manager also was there explaining. So every time they explain, I learn something new, even though I'm from the system. Yeah. So that's the liaison program. Again, to what Amber said, they are maintaining that connection so we can speak for you, represent you. Yeah, I know we did a lot of work on the ground trying to sustain the program and the funding, and unfortunately it was reduced by 27%. But like Germans, I'm just knocking on the wood that the people who are making decisions, they have realized that agriculture is important. That I can assure you for sure. But yeah, let's hope and pray that things are going to improve. Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Russ.
Yes, thank you. Any other comments?
I guess just thank you, because obviously your workload's increased, so thank you for making this a priority. We do appreciate that.
Yes, thank you. With that, I think we'll adjourn the meeting, and Russ can get on with his tour/audit. Yeah. Thanks for coming, everyone. We'll adjourn the meeting.
Thank you.